Good morning, everyone. It's Joker, and today we are back with another slime video. And I did say that I was going to make a part 2 for Jubilee video. This one is specifically going to go over boss battle, because I had a few different teams in the normal battles. You know, the strategy is there, whether or not you can use it or not is a very different scenario. But for boss battle, because it's, it's type advantage, and you're limited to like a certain amount of things that you can actually do in the fight, and this fight is very, very quick. Like, you're supposed to kill it, maximum for these scores that you're looking at, like turn 2. And if you don't have the light team as it stands right now, it's just not feasible. But you can certainly get, okay scores with using none of the new light units. So that is what I've highlighted today. The main focus here is you're gonna have Gazel, right? The other main light DPS unit. If you don't have Gazel, like, I'm sure you could use like Light Shuna or someone, or if you happen to pull Shion but you didn't pull everyone else, you could definitely put her in as well. But you're still gonna run with Gazel being your main DPS. I'm just gonna show like 3 different teams that you can use them on. And for this, I'm gonna just do Boss Battle 3, because Boss Battle 3 is the middle ground, right? If you can do Boss Battle 3 and get an okay score, you can certainly do Boss Battle 2 and get a good score. And you can try EX and get an okay score. But at least you're getting a score, right? And you're not locked down to being, no weakness damage, and you're killing on like turn 10 or something, Again, the disclaimer exists that my units are leveled. Yours may not be. But let's jump in to the first team. Alright, starting out the video, this is the first team that we're going to use, and it's a pretty typical Cabby team with Valentine, Windmillum, Leon Hero, and Gazel. So the point of this team is obviously we're going to use Valentine's Orb Change on turn 1, we're going to get a Cabby meter, and then we're going to pray for some greens. That way we can just build up alts, build up points extremely fast. That way we can nuke turn 3, turn 4, more realistically turn 4 than turn 3, unless you really get lucky on that draw. You also have the rewind skill, because, sometimes you can get some extra greens on that, but then you want to use Gazel's buff, Leon's buff, Hero's buff, Millum's buff, and then just doing big daddy damage at that point. So let's jump in with this team and show off how well it goes. Okay. These get recorded and like very spaced out, right? Because I test the one team and then I record, and then I test the next team and I record. And there could be minutes, couple minutes, hours, maybe sometimes days in between like Jubilee recordings. Sometimes, maybe not like 24 hours, but from 10 o'clock that night to like 10 o'clock the next day. It's like 12 hours, whatever. There's a gap in time. So some of these, I forget how the team worked, right? So here, we use Valentine's Orb Change, we swapped her out for the hero, and that is just because we wanted to use her rewind next turn and not have to switch anyone. Now, you could have put Leon in the back and then been able to swap in Leon for that 6-card send full of light. It's a strategy. It very well you could have done that. Here, we have a 3-3 with no Gazel, so I have no problem with getting rid of him. We're going to pop Cabby because these greens are, we're going to send either Leon, or we're going to send the hero, or we're going to send 3 greens. And either way, green is going to get used, so we might as well get the most out of it. So I believe, I send the Leons because we have a 4th hero coming, so that's a good area to swap Gazel in. And it actually worked out really well almost, because we have a 5-card of the hero. So we're going to use the rewind. And we also don't have Gazel's ult, which means that we're not going to like delete one of these orbs. So this will definitely get us Gazel's ult. So 5 send of Gazel, gets us another Cabby meter, gets us a good amount of points. And now, after this hit, he's 2/3 health left remaining. We've got the rewind, so we can do even more damage, and we can pop Cabby again and make the most out of it. And we're also going to use, I think we're going to use Valentine, right? No. Okay. See, this is what happens when there's a lot of time in between recordings. we're going to boost as much as possible, and then we're going to send Gazel away. Okay, alright. And now, we'll pop Cabby again, just because. Raise the skill cap even more, even though we haven't really done anything. And now, we're going to send Leon. That gets us 65 more points. So, I mean, technically, it's enough to use one more buff. Milim buff, hero buff. If RNG went your way, and you had a whole bunch of greens on that rewind, then you definitely would have had enough points to use both the hero and Milim. But it didn't really work out like that, and I'm not looking to fish that much for that RNG. So, we're going to send these 3. He guarded one of them, which is unfortunate, and he guarded the second one, which is super unfortunate, because he doesn't have guard, he just has extra defense. But we go ahead and nuke him for 63-6, even without the hero crit and the resistance down. So, it's an okay score. It definitely could have been higher. 88.4 is not terrible. It's not great, but again, it is a score. And most, I say most, a lot of people can run this team. But that's option 1. Let's check out option 2. Alright, option 2, Hakuro, Shinsha, Windmill, Hero, Gazel, and Earth Benimaru for the Orb Steal, because that's what Dagger's for on the, the light team. We have another unit that can do that. Whether or not you have that unit, it's up to your box. However, this is the team. So we've got Orb Steal, we've got Hakuro because of, the RNG god that he is. Shinsha for her light boost, only 15%, but it's better than nothing. And then Milim and the hero for their boosts and the rewind as well. So let's go ahead and start this one up. And we'll fast forward. Let's see, looks like I'm swapping supports on Benimaru right there. So here we go. Into the fight we go. Alright, maybe I could have fast forwarded a little more. Oh well. It is what it is. So, Orb Stealing turn 1. We're going to send Benimaru in for Milim. Get a 6-card send of Gazel, which will get us the ult. I mean, we don't even need like a trait that for, giving us extra ult at the start. Which, I mean, Xion didn't get anyways because she was on the back line. But Gazel also is going to get an ult here from a 6-card send, which is good. So, bop, 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 bop. One ult. The thing is we don't have a Hakuro meter because Gazel's on the back line. Something to keep in mind, you obviously can throw Gazel up front into that 4 slot and then do something with orb changing. You could bring Valentine instead of like Shinsha or something. Or Valentine instead of Leon, I don't know. There's options you could do. But let's go ahead and send these hero cards, or not. Let's go send Leon cards and see if we can get a whole hand of hero next turn. And we almost did. Almost, but not quite. And we also didn't get a Hakuro gauge, which that would have helped out quite a bit. But we're going to rewind here. We get 2 hits of turn 3. And now we're just going to send the hero. We're foregoing, type advantage weakness damage here. And it's just, something you got to live with. Alright, we just have to lower his health more. We just have to get him low as possible for our Gazel ult to work. Thankfully, I mean, this hand worked out pretty well. 5 blues. So we've got double Hakuro meter, not quite full points though, so we're missing, 16 points right there? Which I think does come back to bite us a little bit. But it is what it is. We've got at least, 80 points guaranteed and a full hand of orange. They're nerfed, but this is the kill turn. So we're going to boost with Milim. And then we're going to get her out of here because the hero doesn't have any cards, so we can send a full hand of light and, make up some of that weakness damage that we didn't get for sending those hero orbs earlier. So here, we're going to use Hakuro for the first time. 69 points, nice. And now we're going to use the orange boost for that extra 35% damage. I think? Do we not? Do we not? I might have skipped it, but I think we could have used it. I think we had enough points left over where we could have used it, and that would have helped out a little bit. So we've used the Leon boost now, so there's 50% light. Get another 40 points here. And it's not, okay, so this is why. It's not enough to use the hero boost. We're 1 point shy. So if you got 1 extra point, then this could have worked out. But we didn't. So we're just going to do what we have. So a 6-card send. You know, it's okay damage. And we do get him fairly low. And we're in nuking territory, at least, is the most important part. We're in nuking territory, and we do 62.5. The damage is pretty consistent with Gazel. And our final score is 87.9. So I think it's a little bit less than the previous fight. I'd have to actually, let's check it out. What do we get there? Yeah, it's just a tad bit less. It's like 500 points less than the first fight, but it's still an okay score. So there's option 2. Let's move on to the third and final team that you can use. Or that I thought of, at least. Alright, this is the third and final team that we're going to show today, and it is using Chloe, who, you know, is kind of like Shizu, right? She does change greens, but she only changes oranges to greens, and so there is the small possibility that RNG can shaft you and you just keep getting blues. Which is why I have Shinsha here. So, Chloe, Valentine again for the double orb change, Gazel's up front with Shuna, Hero for the rewind and her crit boost, Leon is here for his light boost, and then Shinsha's here only for her orb change, because her light boost is much weaker than Leon's. But let's go ahead and start this one up. We're getting about relatively the same scores as the other two teams, so at least they're all relatively consistent. They're all killing on turn 4, I believe. But again, asking for not the new light team to kill any sooner is unrealistic or requires more RNG that I've been able to accumulate this entire Jubilee so far, including all of my, like, sweaty runs. So strategy's still the same, so we've got the Valentine orb change going to happen on turn 1. And at that point, turn 2 happens and you're praying that, you know, that hero green that's coming is followed by a crap ton of other greens. Or oranges. No blues. You don't want blues. Or if you can, 1 blue. Because of Shinsha. So we've swapped Leon in for the, you know, as much weakness damage as we possibly can. And my Leon, I think, will still hit harder than my Shinsha, just from gear. So that's why I swapped him in. Okay, so we got kind of unlucky here. We got 2 blues. Not really what we're looking for, and we have another blue on the way. So now you gotta decide, like, do you rewind, do you not rewind? We're going to rewind, and we're going to send these 2 blues and pray that on the rewind we get 1 blue. And as you'll soon find out, that doesn't work. So we've got 5 hero cards, so we're going to swap Shinsha in and send 5 Shinsha cards. That way we get, you know, more weakness damage. Unfortunately, we can't get Gazel's ult here, which means that we can't hit him next turn, but that's okay because we didn't have enough points to do that anyways. So now we're talking, because now we have the 1 blue that we can easily change. So Shinsha's orb change coming into effect will pop Chloe. That way we get Gazel's ult with these 2. The 6-card symbol is all light units, so that's looking good. We don't get anybody else's ult, which is kind of unfortunate. We could have used someone else's ult just for extra damage, but it's not necessary in, you know, in this fight. So now we're on turn 4, and we got another very good hand of all oranges, and we have another Chloe meter, so that's going to be a whole hand of green. So we're going to use Leon, and then we're going to use both Gazel buffs, and then we will have just enough for the hero buff. And we don't need Windmill him here because Chloe is also giving us that 40% ult boost, so it removes a character, which is why I have room for Shinsha and Leon both. Otherwise, one of them would have to be Millum. So she does double duty. She's orb changing into greens, which are not nerfed. She's giving us skill point. She's doing triple duty. I mean, her entire skill set works here. For, you know, it works. As you can see, now I've turned 4. We've got a whole hand of greens. 1 Hero card, that's fine. I mean, I can do without that. 10,000 damage on that hit right there, and then his 200% hit does 22.5, and then we're in the perfect stage to nuke, and 67-2, there we go. And we end up with a final score of 89.9, so almost 90k. So I think that is the highest that we've gotten out of these 3 fights. But there are 3 teams that you can use to at least get an okay score in boss battle for Jubilee. Again, results may vary. If you don't have Valentine, you don't have Chloe, you don't have Gazel, you don't have any of these units, then I'm sorry. I'm just sorry. You're not equipped for this Jubilee, and there's no way around it. You can certainly try with like the space team. I didn't really want to give it a shot because I wanted to use light DPS. But I mean, if you don't use a light DPS, you're not going to get weakness damage, and I'd be missing out on what 7,000 points right here. So we'd be at 82 and change, which is still okay because the multiplier is quite low. So I mean, you can swing the space team. Turn 4 though, building up that much points for damage, the Cabby team might be able to do it with Valentine. But again, if you don't have Valentine, then you're kind of effed. But let me know if this video helped you out, whether or not these teams were something that you can use versus, the Whaley teams from the first video. But that's it for me, guys. Take it easy, and I'll see you later.